Today's guest, Matt Wyatt, former Mississippi State quarterback, 96 to 99. Did I get that right?
That's it.
Matt was right in the middle of one of the most important eras in Mississippi State football history. During the 98 season, Mississippi State won the SEC West, earning a trip to the championship game in Atlanta that matched Mississippi State against the Tennessee Volunteers, and T. Martin went on to win a national championship that year. Yep. Y'all scared them.
Yeah, we
scared them pretty good.
We got their attention.
Yeah. But I do think about, right after I was gone from Mississippi State, and that 98 team helped elevate Mississippi State onto the national stage. And Matt was one of the leaders inside the huddle during that run, playing for a program that was redefining itself in the late 90s and setting the foundation that fans still talk about today. Matt is one of the most recognizable voices in Mississippi sports media. After his playing days, he built a career behind the mic and on camera. He's host of the Matt Wyatt Show on the Zone 105.9. Did I get that right?
That's it.
And he's also been a part of Mississippi State football coverage as the radio color analyst. On top of sports, Matt's got a deep Mississippi outdoors streak. He hosts the Mississippi Outdoors podcast. I was on his show just the other day, where he talks hunting, fishing, conservation, and the people who live it. I didn't put this in here, but you were almost a pro bass fisherman. We got to talk about that.
I wanted to be so bad.
I know it. But he's not just a broadcaster. He's a creator. Through Matt Wyatt Media, he does professional photography and video production, documenting life, sports, and the outdoors across Mississippi and beyond. How'd I do?
You did really well. Better than I could have done. I would have forgotten half
Look,
of
ChatGPT helped me come up with that. And I did make a few notes, because one of the things I have is this VIP club. And so I text out, I said, just a little while ago, I'm like, Matt Wyatt's on the way to the podcast studio. Can you give me some questions to ask? What do you guys want to know?
That's cool.
And my friend Wade Kennedy, who coaches, he's assistant coach at Knox Cater.
All right.
Had a great question that you're just going to love.
Okay.
Which coach, whether you worked under him, with him, played for him, worked as the color analyst at Mississippi State, which Mississippi State coach would take title as grill master?
Oh, grill master?
Isn't that a good question?
Oh, boy. That is a great question. Okay, and I didn't see it firsthand. I heard, though, from eyewitnesses that here recently now, now this is like the last couple of years, Paul Rhodes, who is a defensive analyst, former head coach. He was a head coach at Iowa State. And they brought in he and Mike McIntyre both at the same time this past year to help Coleman Hutzler. And anyway, I'd heard that Coach Rhodes, that's his deal.
He's the grill master.
He's the grill master. A few years before him on Coach Leach's staff, defensive line coach, Coach Jeff Phelps, was eat up with it. It was football and grilling and cooking at home. Yeah, he was one of those. And again, I kind of caught that in conversation. I didn't see it with my own eyes. And the honest truth is, Stafford, when I was playing all those years ago, I wasn't hanging out with our coaches. I don't really know if we had
grilling.
I don't really know if we had
Was
any
it different? You think it was different back then, like the Sherrill era and the way the coach-player relationship was back then, maybe a little different than today?
It's potentially, yes.
Because you see, like, the relationship that Kiffin has with his players, and I don't know, maybe that's not a greatest example, I don't know, but it does seem like there's a different, and maybe NIL has something to do with that.
Another thing, too, would be just, again, you want to hear how old I am? There was no phones. There were no...
I'm older than you.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying then.
I know what you're saying.
There were none of these. There was no social media accounts. None of that kind of stuff. So the interaction, any interaction between me and a coach was face-to-face, nose-to-nose. Yeah. So if we weren't at the facility together or in the same place...
You didn't know what they were doing.
And they didn't know what I was doing unless they got the wrong phone call, at 2 a.m., which Coach Sherrill got plenty of those, too. So,
I bet he did.
So it was entirely different. Yeah. You think about now, like a head coach, position coach, like you can see what's going on in one of your players' life just about 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because they're always posting.
They don't hide it.
They don't hide it. For us, you think about Coach Sherrill, they'd turn us loose and say, hey, be here Sunday at so-and-so time for running. And then it's just, well, I hope they all show up, and I guess good teams did and maybe the bad ones didn't, but it's a totally different deal now than it used to be.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, obviously somebody said, you got to ask him about NIL. And I'm like, I think that people would write if I had you on and didn't ask what you thought about all of this.
Okay, yeah, sure. I will be careful, too, not to take up all your time. Because
we could talk about nothing but that.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I get into it probably too often on my show. And people have mistaken my negativity about the whole atmosphere as, well, Matt's not for paying the players. I've never said that.
You were a player.
I was. You want to pay them, pay them. I mean, it ain't my money.
Yeah.
Okay, it's their money. Somebody, whatever, fine. You want to pay players, fine. But have some sort of structure.
Yeah.
Where it makes any sense whatsoever. That's my thing about it, Stafford.
Well, Leach felt the same way. You can hear him talk about it. He was spot on, I thought.
Yeah.
Early.
I thought so, too.
Early. He was you have free agency and unlimited money. This is not it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. I won't say who it was, but this would have been about 2020, 21, maybe at the kind of the crossover from coming out of COVID. And I sat across the table at lunch with a guy who, not at State, a former head coach, still in the world of coaching. And he just came right out and said it then. And it kind of shocked me a little bit. He goes, it's going to be a big mess until they just let you do contracts. You don't have to have contracts.
That's the well, and it really isn't name and likeness. Name and likeness is somebody says, I like Stafford Shurden show. Let's pay him and use his name and likeness and open a restaurant.
Right.
That's name and likeness, like Guy Ferretti or something.
Yeah.
That's name and likeness. But what they're doing is pooling this money.
It's just pay for play.
When they started pooling the money, it's not name and likeness anymore.
Right. So if I were to sum up sort of my take on it, let's go. Number one, I agree with you. It has nothing to do with anybody's name, image, nor likeness.
No.
You could tell right now 1,000 diehard college football fans. Here are the top 5 guys that are earning NIL money in all of college sports, and I'm going to show you their faces in a mix of 15 other random people. Wouldn't pick them out. Names. Tell you the top 5 NIL earners. What jersey number do they wear?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows. So it's not NIL.
But we were just talking about before we started, what's Archie's jersey?
18. Yeah, because this is episode 18.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I'm in Drew, Mississippi, and this is episode 18. So, shout
Archie.
out. Tip of the cap, respect. But yeah. So that it is pay for play. You're simply paying them to play ball and to stay. You pay them to play. You pay them to stay. That's what it is, and everybody knows it. So I have a problem with calling it one thing when we know actually.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Let's just call it what it is, so that you can.
And then we can deal with it.
And
the NFL deals with it.
The NFL
is that where we're headed to an NFL structure? Probably, you think?
Well, it's where it should be headed. It's just
under the circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I have my doubts because in the NFL you have 32 teams and they're privately owned.
That's true.
And you're not privately owned, and there's you can go as deep as you want to go, but there's also this issue of your universities file with the IRS as 501c3s. Nobody talks about that, Stafford. Everybody's afraid to death of it, and I think it's a really prickly, sticky issue. How can you go out here and say, okay, yeah, we're going to make employees and contracts and treat this thing like it's a for-profit marketing arm? And
I think that you
501c3s.
can. I mean, 501c3 have employees.
Have employees.
Yeah.
But when you start, the reason it gets sticky is because it's employees that are what? Focused on your stated original purpose.
Yeah.
Well, if you are in the business of education.
Well, that's almost
what's
my
your
question.
purpose?
Is there some point where the athletic teams get split out from the colleges? I don't know.
I think it needs to.
Is that what's going to happen?
Well,
you love sports. I love sports, obviously. But my gosh, and they should be paid. I think we both agree with that.
Pay 'em.
You know the work y'all put in.
Well, okay, but I do. Pay them. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you've just got to have a structure to it.
Exactly.
And that is, I'm going to pay you to be my quarterback because you're worth it and I got the money. Okay, and I want you playing for, my university. But I need the ability to sign a legally binding contract that we've negotiated and agreed. You agree to it and I agree to it, just like the NFL, so that if you quit short of that and don't hold your end of the bargain, I'm covered. And frankly, if I want out and I don't have my end of the bargain, you as a player, you're covered. Why can't we get to that? You got to get to that.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's just going to continue to be a
free for all is what it is. It's a free for all. And then kind of the devil's advocate of it is me watching Indiana win the championship this year. Is like, well,
yeah.
If it is what I think, because I agree with you 100%. And then you watch Indiana win, and I'm going, well, if Indiana can do it, Mississippi State can do it. It's kind of where I was.
Anybody can flip their team upside down overnight.
Quick.
And so maybe that's good, but there will be some negative ramifications of it.
Yeah.
Let's just say hypothetically, Stafford, in 20 years, you're sitting here doing this, and you've got 5 million viewers on each episode, and it's blowing and going 20 years from now. Who's the Matt Wyatt you're going to be talking to?
Right.
Who went there, and stayed there, and has sort of, a life built and amongst.
I think about that all the time.
Without
the loyalty, look at Dak Prescott. He comes back and gives back every way he can.
Yeah.
He goes to the Final Four when the ladies were in the Final Four. Who's going to be the quarterback that does that now?
Right.
And I think about that all the time. That takes the fun out of it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
The fun is, for a lot of people, is shifting from some of that, to, okay, it's my school. I remember what it was like when I went here.
Yeah.
It's neat to get together and grill hamburgers and eat and watch the game and hoot and holler a little bit. But now I'm a little less, emotionally invested, and frankly, in who's out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, okay, that's the way it's gone, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing in the long run.
By the way, this is called breaking bread, so we have to have food.
You got to eat. Right?
But it's usually we do it during lunch. We were talking about Brian a while ago. Yeah. He picked Sunday when we do the buffet. But he
did. He really?
He did, but he doesn't. He's like, I do a show every day. That's the only day I can come is on a Sunday.
Now that's typical NIL. Hey, Dad chose buffet day.
He did, and I said, dude, you're gonna. He said he didn't know, and I said we do a buffet that day, and he said, oh, this is gonna be my kind of show. But today I made us some boudin egg roll. Let me be real clear.
You made them.
I fried those in the fryer.
Okay.
But I did not make these boudin egg rolls, and that's a Mississippi comeback sauce.
Are we supposed to eat on camera?
We are supposed to eat on camera. Bro, we're breaking bread together, brother.
So now, is it? Oh, I got to use a.
You can dip or you can use the spoon. That's what and we got napkins there. Feel free to just dip, dude.
All right, so I won't double dip. Although the double dip Seinfeld episode,
that's a pretty good
one of my favorites. Mm-hmm.
What's the best TV show ever? Is it Seinfeld?
Sitcom, let's go Seinfeld 1. I'll go Seinfeld 1. I'll give you the rest of my list. Number 2, Sanford and Son. And that's going way back. Number 3 for me, The Office. Number 4, Home Improvement.
I forget about that one.
And 5, for me, I'll go Family Matters. Urkel.
Oh, God, they was funny. I forget how good those are. Those are good.
Buddy, they were good.
Get those down out of Louisiana.
Boudin.
Egg
rolls. I've never heard of that.
So they call them wraps. And what they told me when I was traveling, I'm like, how'd y'all come up with boudin wraps? And they said, well, every now and then you bust a casing on one, you got to do something with it. Mm-hmm. So somebody started wrapping them because it was easier than making the ball. I like the balls too. But the wraps do really good. Anytime we do any kind of function here, we do these boudin wraps. So they're actually not on the menu, but we always have them. Yeah, those are fantastic.
So the boudin balls at Country Meat Packers in Florence.
Yeah.
There's.
I have not had theirs.
Buddy.
Are they good?
Oh, let me tell you. And I had the regular boudin in the casing. Mm-hmm. You just cook, But the balls, they're big around as a baseball, and if you cook them I put them in the air fryer. They told me that's one
good
way
idea.
And it's not dry, but what I'm saying is it's not greasy and wet on the outside. It's
Right.
together and it's kind of crunchy. And then that soft boudin on the inside, make your tongue slap your hat off.
What's the best product they have?
Oh, sausage. So the country pleasing sausage comes out of there. And
Well, that's what I mean. What's the best sausage that
Yeah.
they make? Your favorite?
oh boy, their original is great for everything.
It really is.
I have eaten way more of the jalapeno and cheddar than any other flavor.
I like the green onion too.
Let me tell you something. Last
Green onion
week,
is so
I
good.
finished off a package. It was pepper jack and green onion.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I thought, okay, I had forgotten how good that is. I'd go 1 and 2 with the jalapeno and cheddar and then pepper jack.
That's probably, yeah. You could reverse it and be happy. I think
I also had
pork and pineapple are pretty good.
pork and pineapple was good. And that maple blueberry.
The the blueberry was a little too strong for me. I like the pork for the sweet one. I like the pork and pineapple. My daughter loved the blueberry one.
Here's what you do.
Okay.
Whether you like to eat it or not, if you're getting ready to sell your house, you got people coming to look at it, fry some of that
It smells great.
maple and blueberry
Yeah,
first.
Yeah, it smells like you're cooking blueberry muffins and bacon.
It does.
Yeah.
Or pancakes, one or the other.
Yeah, pancakes. That's a good one. That yeah, you talking about the office? You see my world's best boss mug up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So my long-term employee, I always sad when I say she's no longer here. She was here 13 years. That was her favorite show, Bryce.
Always.
I holler at the Bryce, and she got me and I have a Dundee Award. You see my Dundee Award up there?
Whoa! You actually have one. That's
Yeah.
great.
She got me the Dundee Award because she says I am Michael Scott.
Really?
Yeah, she said, I'm like, I don't think so. She says, no, you're Michael Scott.
Well, maybe a Delta version of my.
I have never worn a lady suit. You remember that episode?
That was great. He said, wait a minute. Nana, what did he say? It's European cut. That's why I don't have pockets.
Yeah, it buttons backwards. My wife bought me a coat, and it zips up backwards, and I'm like, I give her a hard time, but I know it's not a women's coat. It is like a unisex for everybody, but it zips up backwards, and I thought that's the same kind of thing. It's like it's a woman's coat. I'm not wearing that.
You got to use your left hand?
Yeah.
I would not
Yeah.
be able to do that.
Oh, it was, and I have no idea what happened to it, but I actually liked that jacket. We were in New York, and it was way colder than what it was supposed to be, and so we just walked up in this store and bought it because I was freezing. So I was very happy to have that coat that day. I have more questions.
I'm impressed with how organized.
Do you know Mark Stowers, by the way?
I'm supposed to
So
know.
he's a writer, and he writes for Delta Magazine, Mississippi Magazine.
Okay, I'm sure
Enterprise
that's where I've
Talks.
seen the name.
He gave me when I sent that text out, he gave me 5 things, Mark.
Mark.
But one of the questions I thought, a lot of them were the questions you always get, you know what I mean? But this is a good one. How do you want to be remembered?
Boy.
That's tough, isn't it?
Well, I tend to say it's not tough. It's just, to answer it truthfully, you run the risk of maybe somebody taking it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I hope this comes over, across right. The thing I'm really only concerned with how I'm remembered by the people I'm closest to. So my daughter, my wife, my mama, my daddy, and the people that life has given me the opportunity to spend time with. Now, and I know that it could come across as a little, I don't know, closed offish, because I am on the radio, and I have for a long time sort of made a living where you're out front. I have a lot of relationships with people who listen. Like I've some that I just kind of know them by their name on the text line, but we've never sat across from each other face
Same.
to face.
I have the same
You know what I
deal,
mean?
yeah.
So it's not that I don't care what those people think. It's just that I know the reality.
Yeah.
The real of it is
What's important is what the closest to you think.
because that's who I'm spending my time with, and that's who they see me when I get frustrated, And when I'm having a bad day, not just in 2 hours I'm putting on a smile, carrying on a positive radio show, because it's entertainment and it's a media thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
So for me, I hope that, Miss Annabeth and my daughter Mary Liddy, I hope that what they remember about me is that I was what I was supposed to be, and that I was consistent. I hope they remember that, seeing me with my nose in my Bible every day, not afraid to talk about my faith in God, my belief in Jesus to people I know, a non-hypocrite. I hope they see me as a non-hypocrite. So, strange, very non-pointed answer to that, but that's...
No, I think that's good, because I think that's what God, he wants us to take care of our family first, right?
Yeah, I think so. And really, I mean, you think remembered. That's what I think too, is sometimes whether whether it's a real small media personality like me, or somebody that might have a great big huge, international presence, still there's an element of sometimes what you see publicly may not be what's real.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so,
well, like you said, you could be having a bad day. When that camera comes on, you got to be that Matt Wyatt,
right,
no matter what.
Right.
And that's pressure people don't know about.
That's true. And it's okay, because it's putting them first.
Correct.
That's the way I look at it.
It's the reason we do it that way.
Especially live radio. Because
you can't fake it.
Well, and there's somebody listening that I've got 15 minutes with them, and they're driving from this destination to where they're going to lunch. Okay, and in that 15 minutes, what they need is either information or a smile on their face and maybe some laughter. And for me to pretend that I can do anything else for them in 15 minutes is really sort of conceited. So they don't want to, they don't care if I'm having a bad day. They don't care if I'm, worried about something or whatever. They're there for 15 minutes, and so it's my job to entertain and have a good time for that amount of time.
Is it a lot of pressure to do a daily show like that?
Well, I think it is, but after a period of time, you get used to it. It's like anything.
Because I don't know how you find that. Because I thought about that all the time. I'm like, I don't know if I can talk it. And I can talk, but I'm like, that's a long time to be talking.
You ask some of the people that listen to my show, they probably say, he don't find stuff to talk about every day.
I'll come back here sometimes and pull you up on Facebook. You'll see me comment on Facebook every day.
Yeah. Literally today, we carried on for 45 minutes about whether or not you put slaw on your barbecue sandwich or not.
I figured that's what was going on when you text me that. So let's get into that. We got to settle this debate, man.
Annabeth, after she could hear it in the other room, she texted me during the commercial break and said, "Move on from the slaw, please."
Did she do that much?
All the time. She's the producer that nobody knows about. Move on. That's enough of that. But she was right. Okay, 45 minutes of slaw on barbecue sandwich.
So what was that? So were there people that think that it shouldn't go on there?
Oh, yeah.
Or they just don't like it?
Look, my producer, Beaver, and a Mississippian from Iuka, who's in the military, and he's in Flagstaff, Arizona, Jason in Flagstaff, avid listener to the show, great guy. Those two dug in that you should never put slaw on meat of any kind on a sandwich. They dug in. You know, it's that meme from Game of Thrones where the one guy pulls his sword out and he's got the whole cavalry coming at him.
Is that the way you felt?
That's how they were. There was two of them.
Oh, everybody was coming for them.
Everybody's like, oh, and those two, would not give in to, So that's why I text you.
So there was a place down the road that I think about a lot when we think about the way we do food, called Sullivan's Barbecue. Well, it was really Sullivan's Grocery, and it was one of those little corner gas station grocery stores that was dotted all over every little town in the Delta. And she quit doing groceries and took the gas pumps out and started doing barbecue.
Okay.
And she had this block in the back that's about the size of this table and it was about that deep. And she chopped her barbecue.
Okay.
And it had been chopped so much that thing was like a bowl.
Wow.
That's how much barbecue. And they had a big cleaver and they would chop it. But that was where I grew up eating barbecue. And I would not eat slaw on it, even though that's what it came. You had to ask for no slaw.
Yeah.
So if you go in a barbecue place in Mississippi and you don't want slaw, you have to say no slaw. If you don't ask, they're putting it on there. But somewhere, one day I decided to try it with slaw, and I was like, okay, I get it now. There's something about that crunch, even if it's cold and the barbecue's warm, that temperature difference in there makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing I eat slaw. I will eat it with catfish, but I like it with, like it with barbecue. And the sauce and the slaw work together.
It
Man,
does.
it makes no sense, but
right.
it works. But when it's done right.
I grew up in Alabama. And we moved around a little bit. My dad was a pastor. So different places in Alabama eating barbecue. It's a big deal. Barbecue spots.
White sauce?
No. What I was going to say is, whether it's central Alabama, Prattville, a little place in Elmore County across the highway, Chilton County where my dad's from, we get barbecue there. Up in North Alabama, lived in Russellville. We go to the Shoals area, you get barbecue sandwiches. I never had, growing up, a barbecue sandwich with slaw on it.
Really?
We were on a recruiting trip in Starkville when I was either a sophomore or junior in high school. It might have been Little Dewey's. It's a good chance it was. I just don't remember exactly where it was, but I remember this. Ordered a barbecue sandwich. The woman behind the counter takes the order. She goes, "You want slaw?" I'm thinking, like slaw on the side over here.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, slaw. When it came to the table, it's on my sandwich. And I thought, what is this?
I wonder if that's a Mississippi thing then.
And I ate it anyway, and just like you, I went, I get it. Now I know, and I'm telling you, since that moment, I've asked for it on my barbecue sandwich.
Yeah, if you go in the Delta or Memphis, and maybe that's a Memphis style.
Somebody mentioned that today.
If you go to Memphis and you get a barbecue sandwich and you don't tell them it will have slaw. If you don't want it, you have to ask.
Yeah. It's like a pickle. It's coming with it.
It's coming on the burger. Yeah, you better tell them no. I don't like pickles.
Yeah. Well,
meat and cheese only. That's the meat and cheese only people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I want the burger meat and cheese only.
Meat and cheese only.
Yeah.
I got one of those in my house. But anyway, so today we did that for 45 minutes. But I will say,
that's what happens when you have a radio show as often as you do.
You do it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm being truthful with you too, that over the last couple of years, I have noticed a little bit of a difference in the demographic of the audience and with the daily connection of that demographic of the audience to the hard college sports stuff we always did. What I mean by that is,
you talk about more than that? Is that what you're saying?
well, what I'm saying is, for years in the off season or on a Wednesday, everybody's really locked in on this recruit, or this recruiting battle, or this off the field.
Like
scenario.
Back in the day when there was the jeans page, you had to go on and read it like that. Yeah.
And for a couple of years now, I have just, you go all the way back, you started noticing that ain't happening anymore. People are like, hey.
It's over. Let's move on to.
Hey, call me when the game starts. I'll watch the game. I'm in on the game. But the rest of this. And so I could just feel and sense those sort of connections starting to loosen. And so very intentionally, we went, all right, we're going to talk more food, guy talk stuff, but not crude guy talk. Food, fishing, hunting, outdoor stuff, that's all the stuff I love anyway.
Yeah.
And as soon as we began to really sort of be willing to just jump into that at any point on any day of the week between 12 and 2, it went.
Really?
Absolutely. Because, man, if you think there's a large audience, potential audience out there, people who love football, bring up deer hunting.
Yeah.
Bring up the idea of whether or not there are panthers,
man. Have you done the Panther talk?
Anytime it's a slow day, I bring it up. Here we go. 2 hours of Panther talk.
This is all I'm going to say about the Panthers. We have a lot of cameras out there now.
A lot of cameras.
There's a lot of cameras. It's hard for me to believe nobody's gotten. I mean, not even these kind of cameras. I mean, like I have cameras that send a picture to my cell phone out on the farm right now. Mm-hmm. It's probably going off the cell phone recording this. It's probably going off right now. And I get coyotes and I get rabbits and I get really big bobcats sometimes.
Yeah.
And I get some weird stuff. Never gotten a panther.
Never got one.
And so I don't know, man. Yeah. Never gotten a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, hey, and there's some other people that swear he's over there between the levee and the river.
Yeah. Now I have seen a bear twice.
Okay.
In Mississippi, in which they're getting more and more bears now.
Yeah.
But one of them, that's the craziest story. I was at Mississippi State, So this is the early 90s. And I'm at the house, which I bought the house I grew up in. I'm living there now. And I was at home for the weekend or something, and I look out across the field, and there goes the game warden out across our field. And I'm thinking, what in the world is going on? Why is the game warden like flying out across the field? And then here comes all these cop cars. And it was a bear.
Really?
This is early 90s, so it was really unheard of. And they went out there and tranquilized that bear and took him back across in Arkansas. And, of course, now they're tracking him and keeping up with him.
Right.
But they had one in Indianola last year that went all through town. But back then, like you said, no cell phones.
Right.
So this guy passes it. And when he gets home, he calls Drew PD and says, y'all finna start getting some really weird phone calls. And then they thought they thought he was crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But then one day I was out on the farm, and I rented this farm one time right on the Tallahatchie River, right on this government-owned spot. It's not, I guess, a refuge, but it wasn't not one you can hunt, right? And I saw this hog walking into the big old black hog walking into the woods, and he turned and looked at me when I drove by, and it was a bear. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a bear!"
So you thought it was a hog?
I thought it was a hog. It was on all fours, and they're not that big, apparently. I mean, this one wasn't, unless it was a cub.
Most of the black bears, they don't get huge.
Black bears, I didn't realize they were that small. So I have seen, that's probably the craziest thing I've seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen an alligator here, but they kill them all the time.
Yeah,
south
they're
of
around
us.
here,
Yeah, that's for real.
Yeah.
Have you talked about that on the podcast? Y'all talk about alligator hunting much?
We have, yeah. Season 1, we had Ricky Flint, who's retired with NBWFP.
Man, there's some big ones in Mississippi now.
He talked about it. He was the head of the alligator program there for a while, and had a great story and some pictures to prove it about, having one that, they thought they had him taped up and ready to go, and he turned and grabbed his britches, and it was almost a
bad deal.
Yeah, he said he didn't realize how quickly he could turn that head. A couple of months ago, I saw something that I'd never seen myself in person. I was just south of Tupelo, between there and Chickasaw County, and it was about 6 a.m. I'm leaving on Tuesday to get to Jackson for the Wildlife Podcast, and a humongous wild hog just ran across the trace in front of me. And there was a distance between me and the car in front of me. The car in front of me had gone, is gone. And then here comes this thing crossing the road and just runs off. And it's one of those, like, it happens fast. And so if you're not careful in your head, you make it out to be a lot bigger than it was. But I'm not exaggerating that he was huge.
You call y'all?
Well, it's in his neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Around in there.
Yeah.
Not far from it at all. But, I don't think I'm exaggerating. That hog was taking up most of one lane of traffic.
There's some big ones out there.
He was, and I've seen them dead on the side of the road. I've seen them out there, but that was the first time I had a big one just run right in front of my car and cross the road. And, had I been a second or 2 seconds earlier, I'd have mashed him, or he'd have mashed me.
It'd have been a bad deal for both of you.
I think. I wouldn't have made it to Jackson that day.
Yeah, it's weird. They were we had them on the farm, and then they did a big deal trapping them, and then they came in with a helicopter, and I hadn't had any sense.
Uh-huh.
So they trapped them really hard there for about a year, and they said, we think we got most all of them. Let's go in with a helicopter and eradicate the rest. And it really has worked. Because they really, I don't think people know, because I follow y'all. He's been on the show, and I follow him, and I see what people say. They see what he's doing, and they're like, those poor defenseless animals or whatever. And it's like they don't realize what they do to the ecosystem. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's good for nobody, even the hogs.
That's right.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, he's doing the Lord's work.
He really is. And I said to you, do you take any of those and give them to the homeless or something? He said, man, if it's summertime, by the time I can get them drug up on that trailer and out of the woods, they're already turning. Oh, they're that kind of animal. Yeah.
Whew. I'm glad he's doing it.
Yeah. We had some hogs out on the farm one time, and I mean, you shoot them in 100-degree heat in July, they're not any good. You can't. What are you going to do with that? You think about what they're doing in a processing facility. They have them in the cooler.
Right.
And it about ain't close enough. They're euthanizing them right there in the cold. And and immediately processing them, and you can't do that in July.
Right. Yeah.
He says some of them they kill in the winter. They'll find somebody to give them to.
Bless old y'all's heart.
So yeah, he's a good dude, man.
Oh, he's great.
He's such a good guy.
He's great. My dad is the one who introduced me to him.
Yeah.
My dad lives in Dothan, Alabama. And before I even knew, because this is a side story too, that nobody's interested in, I don't consume a lot of stuff. I reached a point a few years ago.
It's hard.
Well, what I thought was, wait a minute. Maybe somebody else can, but I can't be a consumer and a creator of content at the same time.
It's hard.
Because the more I can consuming content, it's human nature. It comes in your brain and it comes out your mouth. Next thing you know, you're repeating a lot of things you've seen. And if you really want to be sure you're having original thoughts, I stopped spending as much time in front of the screen myself because I have to do the talking. My dad goes, "Hey, have you seen this guy? You need to look it up." And he says, "He's in your neck of the woods. I bet you know. You could meet him." Y'all. So when we had him season 1, when he came and was on the Mississippi Outdoors podcast, I got Dad on the phone and said, "Dad, hey, I got somebody I want you to talk to. Here you go." And as soon as he heard his voice, he knew who he was. It was great.
So I want to ask you about your dad being a pastor, because I did not know that.
Yeah.
Y'all moved around a little bit.
We
What
did.
kind of pastor? What was he?
He was Baptist pastor.
Baptist.
Yeah.
So they don't move as much as Methodist. I grew up Methodist. They move a lot.
That's right,
what I was
yeah.
thinking to ask you, how much, moving. But
Yeah. What was the joke? You're a Methodist pastor if they write your name on the church sign in dry erase marker, right? Because we're gonna be changing this out pretty soon. But yeah, he was a Baptist pastor, and so we moved somewhat. Growing up, when Dad was going to different churches, I went, for example, to kindergarten and first grade in Selma, Alabama. And Dad was at a church there called Fairview, and then we moved and we were in Russellville in northwest Alabama, which is kind of where most of my growing up years were for me. It's then second grade through the
do you kind of consider yourself from Russellville?
Well, it feels that way a lot of times.
Yeah.
But we moved sort of in the middle of my 8th grade year to Prattville.
Which is where you played most of your high school?
I went to all 4 years of high school in Prattville.
Yeah.
So we were only there 4 years. And, when I left to go to school at 18, I never went back. So I lived in Prattville there for 4 years of high school. And you're kind of associated with being from there because the whole time I was playing in college, in the program or on television, say Prattville.
Yeah.
But we lived, 7 years, I guess, in Russellville, from second grade all the way through the 8th grade, which is kind of the meat of your childhood.
Formidable, what they call formidable years, yeah.
And I got a bunch of, folks that I still keep up with that I hadn't spent much time with them since the 8th grade. And here I am, late 40s as you can get, and we're still keeping up some, because it felt like home. But yeah, I always felt like the moving around was great for me. I mean, it was, you talking about teaching you and training you in some things that you couldn't learn otherwise that really helped me when it came to then leaving home and going out of state and standing on your own 2 feet, and then after college living in another country for a year, lived in Germany for a year and played football over there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then
you got to tell me about that. What was that like?
If you want to know what it's like, you need to read that John Grisham thing, Playing for Pizza.
I've not read that one.
He wrote about an Italian, and we played
Was that
against
pretty
them.
much what you got out of the deal?
Well, no,
Enough to eat
I'll
off
tell you, I was in Hamburg, or Hamburg. They say Hamburg. I can't say Hamburg. It's Hamburg. We were the Hamburg Blue Devils, lived there for a year, played on that team. And, it was, for me, it was right out of school. Like, I didn't even go through the walk-in graduation thing because I had to get on a plane and go over there.
Really?
Like, the work was done with school, and I got on a plane and went over there. And it was the equivalent of having a really nice, full-time salary-type job right out of college. It's basically what it was. And I had a car that they gave me to drive. I didn't have to pay for that. I had a nice apartment downtown Hamburg on the 6th floor of a building. It was a nice apartment, probably the nicest one the team was giving away to any of their players. But it was on the 6th floor with no elevator. Yeah.
Were they trying to keep you in shape?
I guess.
Dang.
But, that was North Germany, so it was always cool. We had 2 days that whole year in the middle of the summer where it got up to like 89 degrees both days. And no joke, none of the businesses, none of the houses, they didn't have air conditioning because they didn't need it year round. And it got 89, they shut everything down. Nobody went to work. Everybody went to the beach, just hanging out. It was like we do if we get a snow day. That's what they did with 2 days of 89-degree weather. The first week at practice there, I'm standing there, and we had a running back who had played at New Mexico. I think we had 7 or 8 Americans on this GFL German Football League team. They had a limit. So he's from New Mexico, and then we had a guy from Central Florida. We're all here. And coach comes over, and he goes, hey, all right, so we're about to do this drill, inside drill, whatever. Y'all go over, because we were skill players, y'all go over, stand in the shade while we do this and cool off. He walked off. I looked at the guy from New Mexico. I said, cool off? He looked at me. He said, man, it's 73 degrees out here. I don't need to cool off. It was, so dealing with the temperature, it was wonderful. It never got hot. It was
no humidity?
No humidity. It was great. And we played in the soccer stadium there in Hamburg. Seats about 50, 60,000 people. It's got the big awning over the seats, And you see them on the soccer stuff now on television playing in that stadium. Of course, we didn't have that many people watching us. We'd have sometimes 15, 20,000 people in there for a game.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So they could only have so many players from America. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
So but did everybody speak English, I guess, since you had y'all there?
At that time, so that was 2000. And when I went over there, they said the cutoff at that time was 50 years old. They said people over 50 are not going to speak English. Anybody under 50 and under, will have learned it as a second language in school coming up. And so,
really?
Yeah. They could speak it if they wanted to.
And that's, 20 years ago?
26 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dude, that's crazy. I did not realize that.
Yeah. It was something. And I was eaten up with bass fishing and competitive, wanting to do it competitively at that time in my life. And I'm over there in Germany, and every day thinking about, I had a truck and a nice boat, and it was parked at my grandmama's house in Clanton, Alabama, sitting there. And here I am over here playing this football, and it's football, but, And my mother at home, she would record the Saturday morning ESPN2 outdoors shows that would come on, fishing shows, Bassmaster, and then Denny Brower had a show, and she'd record those on VHS, mail them to me in Hamburg, Germany. I'd get them in a box. That's what I watched at home. And so I got to a point where, it really wasn't even homesick. It was just, I'm out of here. Tired of this food. There's no bass fishing over here in Hamburg, Germany. I've had enough of this. And so when it was over, I went home and I got my first job was at WTVA Television in Tupelo. And that, and right after the week I told them, yes, I'm coming up there to sign the deal, I'm going to work for WTVA. A coach from a team, that same league, GFL, in Munich called and wanted me to come there and play, and I turned it down. I didn't do it and went ahead and went to work. And there was a period of time there where I regretted that, thinking I should have done it while I could. But now looking back on it, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
That first job at WTVA I took it because it included a Wednesday night outdoor segment, hunting and fishing, on the Wednesday night news called Southern Sportsman. It was like a 1.5 minute, 2 minute package that they put in the news on Wednesday nights. Sponsored deal. I got to do that. Well, that's not a full-time job. So I was having to sell ads, having to work with them covering high school football and all this other stuff, but I was doing all that just so I could do the...
What was selling ads like?
I hated it. I absolutely despised it because I never could get over the feeling that I was interrupting people at work. And I think the fallacy in that is I wasn't, and if I really believed in what I was putting in front of them,
yeah,
then I wouldn't feel
if
that
you
way.
believe it's helping them,
Yeah.
interruption shouldn't be a problem.
But I could not get over.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over the
No, I
thing
get that.
of, hey, you're in the middle of something. Hey, can I get 5 minutes? I got something to show you. And then sometimes people look at me going, hey, no, you can't get 5 minutes. I'm busy. And come back, and I'd walk out going, I can't do that. Can't do it. And so, I've been in sales and involved in different types of sales, since then, like with radio and podcast stuff that we've done. But it's much different because I think I've had a much different, knowledge about what I'm putting in front of people.
So has that script kind of flipped though? Have you become the buyer, not the seller, if you know what I'm trying to say? Like people come and go, hey man, I'd love to sponsor your show. How did I do that? Rather than you having to go out and beat the pavement.
That's right. It is true. I became that over a period of time.
Yeah.
And two, I have been fortunate to this point anyway to kind of wiggle it into a really great sweet spot in that what I talk about from who's sponsoring the radio show and my content are things that I use.
Yeah.
People I
well,
know.
that's for sure what you want. Yeah.
I don't have to pitch anything to anybody just to see if I can get them to buy it. The things that we're connected with, I can tell them because it's what I'm living. The phone service I have, the insurance I have, the food I'm eating, the coffee I'm drinking.
So I have a coffee sponsor now.
Oh, and boy.
And I don't drink coffee. And I'm like, how am I going to do a coffee sponsor? And I was like, my women in my family have to agree to it because they all drink coffee.
Okay.
And I like them. It's called Nashville Grind. They're just starting, but they want to be like Black Rifle one day. Mm-hmm. And what I did like about them was they have a direct relationship with the farmer. Being a farmer, I was like, okay, now that I can get behind. I don't drink coffee, but I can get behind that. And they do the beans in Nashville and all that. But I'm the same way. I'm like, if I'm gonna say, hey, y'all go buy the book, I want it to be a book I know something about, right? And or whatever. I want it to be a product I use at home.
Yeah.
That makes you feel so much different.
Maybe you need to start drinking coffee.
I have tried. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I really have. And like they'll take me somewhere and they'll be like, we're gonna put all this vanilla and whatever in it, and they'll give it to me, and I'll be like, the first swallow's good. By the third swallow's just bitter. It's just bitter. I don't know. It smells fantastic. By the way.
It does, doesn't it?
Gosh, I'm like, brew a pot. I'd love to smell it.
Yeah, you kind of like, remember when Mike Leach did the interview on the field before the game, walked in the locker room, and he was drinking the coffee, and they said something to him.
Why does he drink it? And he's like,
well, it ain't because of the taste. It tastes awful. Yeah. I just like what it does for me.
Did you miss that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I mean, he never lost a press conference.
No.
May have lost a game or two, but he never lost a press conference.
Well, it's because he never treated it like he was in a press conference. He almost treated them like, okay, we're all here together. What we're going to talk about. Get into,
Well, you still hear people on podcasts that played and maybe didn't even go play for him, but that have these great stories of him recruiting. That they'll be like, an hour and a half later, we're talking about being in Key West, Florida, and nothing about football, which how do you not love that guy?
I was, while he was the coach there, working one night behind the scenes with a video crew documenting what he was going through that night, because it was the night they were doing Cowbell Yell, and that was a particular night for him where he had about 4 different things he had to do in a 4 or 5 hour period. A meeting, disappearance, then he had to go to Starkville Quarterback Club. No, he had to go do the radio show, then go to Starkville Quarterback Club, and then go from there straight back to the stadium for Cowbell Yell. And so we were documenting behind the scenes, and I was the one kind of riding in the car with Coach Leach and the guy who's driving, Brandon Langlois. That was a really fun thing and interesting thing. He's very laid back, just kind of normal guy in those situations. But the whole night, even I noticed, I never pictured Coach Leach as being somebody who was this.
Yeah.
On his phone, because he would always talk about, this is going to be the end of society. Is this right here? He told me that.
Yeah.
And so that night, before we left the facility, he's here. Yeah, okay. And I'm thinking, boy, he's busy on that phone, He didn't ignore us. He talked, but he'd always go back to it. And then in the car on the way to one stop, he's back on his phone, doing this, and then he'd hold it up to his ear and he'd listen and he'd do this. And after a little bit, about the third stop that night, I'm back there with the camera, in the back seat, and I just said, "Hey, Coach, what's on the phone? What are you doing on the phone?" He goes, so I'm learning Spanish. I said, "Spanish?" He said, "Yeah, it's a game. And my wife and I are on it, and it's tallying our scores, and we're competing. I'm trying to beat her in this, and that's our way of learning Spanish." And so he's got all these stops, appearances, radio show, quarterback club, got to speak, Calvo, yeah. He's consumed with
learning Spanish
and then he'd type in the yeah, beating his wife in the Spanish game, learning Spanish better. That's just kind of like, and then the more you knew about him, it made total sense.
Yeah,
and that he was, as much, I guess, as any head football coach ever at that level, was as concerned about other things as he was, the football. And I was really good at the football, obviously.
Yeah.
But had a lot of interest.
I don't think he'll ever convince me that we weren't going to have an outstanding football team that next year, because he had put all the pieces in place.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole on the year after that and what all happened, but it's like the pieces were there. Yeah. You could just, what little bit I know, I don't know anything about football really.
Yeah.
But what little bit I know, you could see that he needed this piece for this and this piece, and he kind of got it all where he wanted it. And it's kind of like, my dad died in 2006. Me and Wright Thompson had this discussion because we lost our dads about the same time. At first, you hate it for you. Mm-hmm. You hate it for Mississippi State. About Leesville, when my dad died, I hate it. And then later on, you're like, I hate it for them that they didn't get to see that come to fruition, or my dad didn't get to see his grandkids do some things, Now I look back and go, man, I hate it for Leap that he didn't get to have that next year, because that was really, don't you feel like that was
I think so.
The setup?
He was going to have the super senior experienced quarterback.
Super senior.
To build some of that around. I think you're right. Yeah, but hey,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
God has his own plan.
That's it. That's that old saying: if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans.
Yeah. So you get back to WTVA.
Yeah.
What happened to the bass fishing?
Oh.
Did you go try to do tournaments on the weekends or anything? Yeah.
I did. And I had an experience that broke me. Like, literally and figuratively, where I had qualified through the Walmart stuff for this big tournament at Lake Sam Rayburn in Texas. And do you remember in the early 2000s when the space shuttle exploded and part of the debris fell, like at Toledo Bend Lake in Louisiana and in parts of Texas, Nacogdoches, Texas? I was at that lake practicing for that tournament the night it exploded. I felt it and heard it.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. And
that's wild.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking. This is when we're talking about. And everything, all the money I had, for a week of a place to stay.
Were you married at this point?
Yeah. And food for a week. No, I misspoke. I was not. And food for a week, and practice. Getting ready for this. Is going to be a multi-day tournament event, and I'm catching them. It's February. It's, you're flipping in bushes. The big females are moving up. Males are up. Females are moving up. It's flipping in bushes, shallow water stuff, targeting stuff you can see. And I'm catching them. And I'm confident I'm going to catch them in this tournament. And no joke. It sounds like you're making it up. No joke. The night of sleeping that night before the tournament the next day, front comes through. You wake up the first day of the tournament. You've been in the 60s in practice and sunshine. It's 32 degrees. There's ice on your boat. Okay, it's sleeting. It's going to snow.
Sleeting.
That's
not fun.
We put the boat in that morning in freezing degrees and sleet. And what's funny about that, anybody knows me, you could get Annabelle, she'd be laughing hearing it. There's one thing I hate: cold weather.
I agree with you.
I hate it. And 100 degrees, I'm in. And we can do anything we want to do at 100 degrees, and it's not comfortable, but I'm in. We can do it.
Same. I'm the same way.
32 degrees, I'm out. Don't look for me. So anyway, I froze that day. It totally changed the fishing. I didn't have the experience to be able to adjust on the first day of a tournament from just totally wiping out everything we've been doing in practice and just figure it out that first day. Miserable, hands cold. I've got a non-boater who I don't know him, and if I had known him, I would have said to him, hey, you just stay in my boat and fish. I'm getting out on the bank and building a fire. But I didn't know him that
You were that cold.
I was that cold.
And being on the water in a boat's totally different in the cold
cold
than being behind a tree somewhere.
Extra cold. I think I weighed in 1 or 2 fish that first day. I didn't have a limit. And then the next day, it was more of the cold and stuff. And I couldn't just go home because that'd be quitting, and then you got your responsibility as a non-boater. And so I tried best I could that day to get my non-boater to where they could catch some fish. But as soon as day 2 got back to the ramp, dropped the non-boater off, I think I had maybe 1 or 2 fish, but I didn't even weigh them in. I let him go weigh his fish. By the time the other boats were coming in for the weigh-in, my boat was on the trailer, and I was pulling out of that parking lot, headed 9 hours to Tupelo, Mississippi. I couldn't get there fast enough. Those 2 days, I sat right there going, there are so many fish in lakes right by my house in Tupelo, Mississippi. And here I am 9 hours away. I've spent everything I've got on, gas and boat gas and, rent.
It's a lot more expensive than people think.
And I was determined.
Even if you're not in a tournament, it's expensive, much less a tournament.
That's right. And I was determined not to use credit cards. Okay, well, the ones who make it, they just burn up 100 credit cards, and then just, let's see what happens.
Hope they make it.
Let's see what happens. So I couldn't get home fast enough. You know who won that tournament? Alfred Williams from Jackson, Mississippi.
I'll be done.
He's in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and I got to interview him last year on the Mississippi Outdoors podcast.
I saw that interview.
He is a prince of a guy and was brilliant. He's out there from Jackson. Alfred Williams is known for frog fishing, topwater stuff, and the lily pads at Ross Barnett and all that. He's known for frog fishing, topwater. And here he is, and it's gone freezing the night before, and he's in Texas.
Just shifts.
He shifted, he found fish, he backed off and found points, and he started throwing a red rattle trap.
Yeah.
And, slow fishing, a 1/2 ounce rattle trap off those points and just started catching them and won the whole tournament. He is brilliant. And that's what that whole experience told me, Stafford, this ain't for you, Matt. This ain't football. You can't mad and angry your way through it. You got to think your way through it. And so I thought, okay, I may catch a lot more fish in my life. It'll be close to home.
I used to, when I was, a kid, when I was still in high school and all, man, all I cared about, I didn't do sports mostly because I just wanted to hunt and fish. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah. I was small anyway. I ran track, played a little baseball, played golf and all that. But I was like, really? They were like, you should play basketball. I'm like, that's during duck season. It ain't happening.
That's great.
Do you know how often they practice for basketball?
Oh, man.
It's ridiculous. And I'm like, no. I'm not going to be up there practicing basketball when I can be duck hunting. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
That's great.
And so that's what I did. I did that. But the bass fishing, I was into the bass fishing pretty good, and it was so cool because we had all these basically old river runs around that used to be part of the summer, and you could catch bass on all of them.
Yeah,
and you could just get on an old log jam or something, walk out on it, and fish off that log jam. No boat needed. You could cast halfway out in the middle from one side and walk across the log jam the other way.
That's great.
You could work the hole and figure out where they were. And if I wasn't shooting something, I was wetting the line. That's all I did for years.
Well, and you think about the trouble it kept you out of.
There's some data on that, like kids that hunt and fish don't get in as much trouble.
That's true.
We pressed the limits of the law a few times.
Yeah, but you wasn't. Look at
the statute of limitations has run out on all of that.
Judge Shurden. Shurden. Look at it. It's a happy ending on that story.
It is, and we didn't just go out and just break the law, but we did press the limits on what the law was. I had Tucker Miller on the podcast. He was maybe episode 3 or 4. And I said, Tucker, how many ducks have you killed, or banded ducks have you killed? He said, 60, which is a lot of banded ducks if you don't know. And I said, how many times did you kill over the limit to kill 60? He said, I have apologized for my past transgressions.
He's already repented.
He's repented. He don't do that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, right. He's a good dude.
Attaboy.
But his little duck camp, what I call the duck camp, is just deer heads and ducks. It's kind of unbelievable. Mm-hmm. But he's on ducks the way you're on bass. Yeah.
You know, and I came by it honest. My dad, he got 3 brothers. He's one of 7 kids, and all the boys and his dad, you know, they were outdoorsmen, and so he got it and he taught it to me from the time I was little. I mean, really and truly, you know, as far back as I can actually remember, he was taking me fishing. We crappie fishing all the time.
I was going to say crappie was my grandparents' crappie fishermen.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
You know, which Dad had a small boat, cane poles, minnows, minnow bucket, you know, and I'm talking about when I was 3 or 4. That little, and I can remember how fascinated I'd be with that little minnow net and those minnows down in the minnow bucket, you know. And sometimes even we would go so often. You know, he was eat up with it. We'd go so often, it's true, that he'd pull the boat up under the carport, like at the pastoral home that we lived in Selma, Alabama. And he'd have a live minnow on the hook from where we just came from. He just, hook and all, he put that minnow back in the bucket and let him swim around all night. And go the next morning, pull him right out on the hook and just drop him in the water. The same minnow.
Never heard of that one.
The same minnow. It sounds crazy. True story, because of that, we came home from church one night. No, it was Wednesday night. Wednesday night church. We had a cat, a gray cat.
No, it didn't.
He tried to eat that minnow with that hook, and we came home from church, and that cat was suspended, hanging by a fishing line off the edge of the boat.
I bet it never did that again.
They had to do surgery on that cat.
I'm thinking about trying to get a hold of that cat.
It was a mess.
With a hook in its mouth. It could not have been
had
happy.
To cut it to get the hook out. That cat lived for, 3 or 4 more years after that.
Cats are tough anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, the fishing, I got it honest, and learned that from him. Squirrel hunting, dove hunting. We didn't do much deer hunting, growing up, because Dad had not done it growing up. They didn't have a lot of deer.
We didn't have deer here growing up. So
they had beagles and ran rabbits, and I got to be in on some of that, but, he introduced me to, the hunting sport, squirrel hunting, dove hunting, and some of that. Yeah.
I got another question that a viewer asked that I thought was pretty good one. What's a huddle story that people would just not believe? Like stuff you talked about in the huddle that probably wasn't supposed to be talked about. Like where you going after the game or something like that. I'm sure it came up.
Well,
or maybe just a good, interesting huddle story.
Okay, so I was talking about this the other day with somebody. It's the first time that I experienced a concussion in college. It was a redshirt freshman year, so 95, I was a redshirt, didn't play. But then the second year, I'm a redshirt freshman, and I began to play some. We were playing Georgia there in Starkville. They beat us pretty good that particular night, 96. They were really good in 96. Interestingly enough, though, that year, 96, the first game of the season, Southern Miss went to Athens and beat Georgia, the season opener that year. So this is the same year. We were hosting them. And middle of the game, this was a big defensive lineman from Georgia who I think was from Mississippi, like from Fulton or something. People might know who that is. But this is first half, and I take a snap, and I'm looking here, and in a split second, something breaks down, so I turn to go, and when I turn my head, he's already airborne right at me, and it's face-to-face.
It's over.
Head-to-head, bam! And I get up, and I've got double vision, okay? Not necessarily blurry, but I got double visions. and in the huddle, and then I'm looking to the sideline to get the signals because we're getting signaled in, and I can't make out which one of these guys is giving the signals. I'm seeing multiple people.
Did you not realize at the time what was happening?
Yeah. You don't know. It's just, we got to get to the next play. Lahidi Grant, we had a receiver named Lahidi Grant from Dora, Alabama. I said, Lahidi, man, I can't see. He said, well, get Joe out of the game. I said, no, help me get the signal. Because and so we kind of help, we get the signal, and then we go on playing. And then the whole thing kind of becomes, even to this day, it's like I don't really remember much about it. The next day, Sunday, film session. We go on Sundays to watch the film, review the game. And we're watching it, and there's this sequence on the screen, happening on the screen in front of me, that I had, as far as I knew, I had dreamed it in my sleep. I thought I had dreamed it in my sleep. A sequence of plays, and it was real specific, like, this particular thing happened, then we get in a hurry up, we have like 3 completions in a row, then I throw an interception, but it's called back for a penalty. We have 1 running play, then we kick a field goal and go into halftime. And I could have sworn I had dreamed all that.
So you didn't remember that consciously
didn't remember it all. And then, my brain said you dreamed it in your sleep after the ball game. Yet I'm watching it on film. There it is. It actually happened. And it was this. I don't know how to explain the weird, sort of mental feeling you get from that. And I said, Coach, that whole series right there, I could have sworn I dreamed that in my sleep last night. He said, you need to go see the trainer. And so I go see the trainer and tell them about it. And so then to say that concussion protocol in the 90s was different.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I asked, how did that go?
I don't remember much about it, honestly.
The protocol, you mean?
I don't remember. I can vaguely remember having to miss some practice time for a day or two, but the whole thing's wiped out. And all that is 1 guy, 1 lick. Well, you think about a ball game in the 90s. Think about how many guys had about 15 or 20 of those kind of licks throughout a ball game, in every ball game. And, and some of them are doing fine now, and maybe some of them aren't. So back to the whole thing of paying them. That's another. You want to pay them?
Yeah, because they're what they're putting their body through.
You want to pay them, pay them. But I will say this. One thing that nobody talks about, it has to be a part of what you talk about, the value. They don't talk about the value of putting my name on the back of that jersey and then running me out on the field in front of all those fans and on television for 4 years. I lettered in all 4 years, freshman to senior. What is the value in that? When I went to school, there probably wouldn't have been my parents were, you could not ask for better parents. My mother was a school teacher, my dad was a pastor. So, and they were excellent. I never missed one meal. I never got cold. We always had AC and the lights were on. We had everything you could possibly want. But there was no loads of money piling up in the bank to just send the kid to wherever you wanted to go. So going out of state to a 4-year university and getting a degree, paying for that would probably not been an option. So I went out of state to an SEC school, and that university, because I was playing football, paid every dime of tuition for 5 years. Paid every dime of room and board for 5 years. Every meal. There was more food for 5 years. And I didn't know that much food existed as the food they put in front of me for 5 straight years. Every pair of shoes, just about every shirt I wore for 5 years, they gave it to me. Every book for every class, they paid for it. When that 5 years was up, I had a degree, and I actually knew something, how to use it. I majored in sports communication. That was my first job. And no debt whatsoever. They paid for every dime of it. And then on top of that, when I came back from Germany and went to that job interview at WTVA, the fact of the matter is they shuffled me right up to the front of the line of people who were interviewing for that open position because they knew who I was.
Yeah.
Now, place a value on that,
Yeah.
Stafford. What monetary value do you place on that? That's a hard question because it's a lot. Because what it is the ignition to my whole career and where I sit right now.
You know who Gary Vaynerchuk is?
Yeah.
He did a lot with sports guys, and he was before NIL, pre-COVID. He was going to speak at places like Mississippi State, and the one piece of advice I thought was so brilliant, he said, anybody you want to talk to, make that call now, because right now they think you're awesome. And you've got the ability to get in those doors and nobody else can get in.
100%.
Make that call. They would love to talk to you.
Yep.
And make that relationship now. Like, it's not going to cost you a thing. They think you're, at this point, NIL, obviously. But he's like,
yeah,
you want to go talk to the guy that owns whatever?
Yep.
You can get in there where other people can't.
You know what, Stafford? I think, and this sounds almost pious, almost, but I really think it's true. About 99% of these college guys that are getting large amounts of cash in influx right now. And some of it's going to mom and daddy, and some of it's going to the bank. There's a few people buying land with it, but most of it's cars and jewelry and all that kind of stuff. They don't realize that cash, it's not as valuable to them as the opportunity that's in front of them. And being on television and in that stadium in front of that fan base with their name on the back of their jersey, that's actually long-term more valuable than a few grand here this month. Maybe, okay, $500,000. And not all of them are making $500,000, but the ones that are. I get it. That's a lot of money, okay? But you know what? You're going to spend it a lot faster than you realize you are.
Yeah. Better pay your taxes.
Buddy, you better pay them.
There are so many lessons watching these guys that went in the NFL and had no clue.
Yeah, talk to them.
Yeah.
How quickly you can get rid of $11 to $12 million.
Who was it recently said $100 million they can't make it on that, or $10 million? What was? Yeah. Did you see that the other day?
Well, yeah, that's user error right there. That's what that is. Odell Beckham Jr., I think maybe who that was.
I can't remember who it was, but they were like, "Yeah, I can't live off $100 million," and everybody in the country is going, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. There's the greatest example that you don't have to be a genius to play pro football either.
No, you do not. I might got to, my last thing was let's talk fishing, which we did.
We did.
Oh, I do have one other question that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Or actually two. Let's talk about photography a little bit. And it's kind of, my question was, what's something you wish people knew about you? But I would guess that's one of those things.
That's it. Yeah.
We got to talk about photography.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you bringing it up.
By the way, it's somewhere in the book.
Look at him. Look at his headshot. Yeah.
That's the man.
Well, I appreciate you came all the way to Tupelo to let me do that for you. That's my retirement plan.
Is it really?
Yeah. I can't even stomach the idea of retiring and just going fishing every day.
Oh, me either.
So I have not pursued that. What I hope is either when I die or when the Lord comes back, either way, it's while I'm working.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
Oh, same.
And so I've always had, the artistic right brain thing going on, sort of a natural tendency to gravitate towards that stuff. It was art when I was younger, and then and then it was video production by necessity, but there was some creativity that got to go into that. And then one day the light bulb went off that there were a lot more people that could use a photography service that I could provide than maybe could use some of the other. So, and I really think what it is the Lord has just opened doors and shut some and opened some, and that it's like he's had his foot in my back just kicking me down that photography road. And it's really odd for somebody my age to pick it up and start to try to bloom that at that point in their life. But so when I was about 45 is when I really started to decide, okay, yeah, I'm gonna lean into it, because I do love it. I do have the ability and feel like it's something I could really, and it's more than just grabbing a paintbrush for me and creating something that I like to look at. I really get a kick out of thinking, okay, it's something I can do for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like, you know, you shot in there going, you have a finished product and you hand it to somebody and they go, oh man, thank you, I like this. And then they use it because they're proud of it. I get a real sense of satisfaction out of that. So I've got the studio space now in Tupelo, and the business is starting to pick up. I really prefer to, you know, load the equipment up in the car and go to people. I prefer to do that because I like to travel. I like to get out and
go. Well, that's why I do the tailgate review, because I like to move around.
I like to move around. Yeah.
What do you like, that idea of being on their turf, kind of?
Yeah, because I think most people are more comfortable on their own turf. You know, a studio thing is great for a pro, is kind of what I've found for the most part. And then every now and then I've had some groups of, we're going to do like headshots and portraits for, let's say, a group of 10 people and they're involved in an organization. Well, they come in together and they can kind of have a good time and relax. But what I find is, if it's not a pro model, a lot of times coming into a studio and you're by yourself and there's this photographer and
they clam up a little.
Yeah, it's a little, it's just a little, it's almost like the first time you had to stare at a camera and talk to
and nobody's there.
Yeah, and your eyes are like, you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Like Ricky Bobby, the first time he wins that race, I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do. Right. So what I find is, if I can, it's great to go to somebody, if they need headshots or if they need family, you kind of go to where they are, where I'd much rather be on their turf because they're comfortable here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that, it is a creative outlet, but at the same time, it's a service that people need. And some photographers, it's like the AI thing scares them because they go, well, people can kind of make something that looks like themselves and do it on their iPad, and they might use that instead of hiring me. And I'm like, I'm actually the opposite. It doesn't scare me because then it's a really sharp contrast between something that is not real versus it is. I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, maybe it looks real, but it isn't. And to me, it's black and white for me. It's
literally sometimes.
Yeah, is it right? Is it real or is it not?
Do you think that people, and I've thought about this, like we do the Success Supper Clubs, and I very intentionally don't zoom them out because I want it to be in person. It's real. Mm-hmm. You're here, you're sitting in a room. In 5 years, this could be fake, but that's real. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe people are going to go, I want real film now? You think, because I know I've really enjoyed watching you go, and I know you get the little brownie.
Yeah.
You've done some stuff with it, but it's real, like to look at modern pictures and maybe not, present day pictures with the old camera.
Yeah.
There's that fuzzy sense of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which is, nostalgia is a powerful drug,
It is.
But you look at it and you go, oh, it feels like 1989 when you look at that.
It does. The chemical process of film is, I have tried and tried and tried. I've worked trying to find the best way to make a digital image, emulate what film looks like.
There's a warmth to it or something. I don't know if that's the right word.
You try to emulate it, but really all it is it comes out as a cheap imitation.
Yeah.
And so I finally got to the point, well, if I'm trying so hard to make digital look like film at times and can't, why don't I just shoot film?
Right.
And it's expensive, and you got to have chemicals, and you go through the process, and it takes a while.
You developing your own.
I developed. You had to learn I knew it at one point back in the college days, and the thing that I haven't done yet is put in the dark room and buy the enlarger where we're actually making prints. But I think part of that's because I have yet, even though we're kind of starting the book project, I have yet to find a use for stacking up stacks of prints. But I'm going to do that eventually. But right now, yeah. So if it's for a client or if it's just for work that I'm doing, you come out of the process with film with two things. One, a physical negative you can hold in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. Here it is, right here. I can look at it. It's a negative image, but I can look at it. And I can do anything I want to with it. And those medium format negatives are large. So when you scan them, you can scan them, and they are so detailed, you can put on a billboard. That's how detailed they are. And two, you come out of it with the confidence that it doesn't look like film. It is film. That's what film looks like, because it's a chemical process of silver particles that are soaking up the light, and some are not, and therefore, when those chemicals hit them, they're permanent on that negative, and now we've got what we've got. And the reason we like what it looks like is because, frankly, it's more pleasing to the eye than some of the digital stuff. Now, it's slow. You shoot a whole roll of 36 exposures on most rolls of 35 millimeter film. Well, then what? Well, I go home, and then it just sits there. Good, and then you didn't get to look at them when you took it. You hope you did it right. You hope it looks good. I genuinely get a kick out of every time after it's taken me a couple of days, shooting, finally developing, drying, hanging, finally get them scanned, and I get them into the program where we reverse those negatives. And even the bad pictures I've taken, I get a genuine thrill out of reversing that negative and seeing what I've got that I took 3 or 4 days ago.
Dude, even going to the Fox photo thing when I was a kid and handing that film in, and then, it's going to be ready in 2 days. You're like, oh, man, I can't wait for that 2 days. And then you get them, and you're like in the car going through them. You don't get that at all.
Yeah.
But even like your daughter probably does this, and I know she's a singer, but my daughters want vinyl now. Mm-hmm. They want vinyl. They have record players because you can't get the sound.
So your daughters have record players.
Both of them have record players.
Have you listened and seen if there's a difference or if it's actually better?
It's a different sound.
Okay.
It is a different sound. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to say better, but it's different. It's a sound that you don't get out of digital.
Okay.
Just like what you're talking about. And even then, I kind of use the word warmer.
Okay.
It feels richer and warmer in a way. The tones are warmer or something maybe. And it's funny because they want the Beatles on a record. Uh-huh. In that generation, they listen to all music, which may be the benefit of being digital is they got access to everything.
Everything, yeah.
And so they're like, my youngest will be like Frank Sinatra, Mumford and Sons, and then Dolly Parton. Or something none of those have anything to do with each other, but it's the variety of stuff they listen to. And then some music that I've never heard of that's new people that sound like something that's old.
Okay.
There's a lot of that out there now.
Yeah, so they've introduced you to some stuff you didn't know.
And like just the sounds, and I'm like, that sounds like something from the 1940s.
Yeah.
And it's a new artist.
Yeah. We've introduced Mary Liddy, she's 14, to Patsy Cline, and of course Dolly Parton, and a lot of that stuff. And she's I wouldn't describe her as an old soul 14-year-old, but she is really aware and knows what that stuff is, which I'm proud of.
Yeah.
And she's like that too, she knows what's modern, which I don't, but she does. But she can hear the difference. She's got the music gene, and it has taken her to some really cool experiences. She's getting to sing on the Opry stage in April.
Dude, that's cool.
For a thing, yeah.
Has it dawned on her how cool that is?
I think so, but probably not as much as me and her mama.
Yeah.
Because we're like, this is pretty cool, right? But she knows it's neat and is really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But, so she's got the music gene. So even when she was little, and the first time I popped on Patsy Cline, she went, it's perfect. Her voice is perfect. Is it auto? I'm like, listen, that's not auto-tune. And so they
didn't know what that was, yeah.
Right. And two, she's really even at this age starting to pick up on the difference in the way songs were written, phonetically, musically, and lyrically then versus what you get now, and kind of see those differences. Not necessarily good, bad, but all that. Anyway, overall, record player, the film, here's what I think. The word is tactile.
Yeah.
Touch and feel. It's a physical, get your hands on it experience. And I think God has made us to grab things with our hands and feel it and have that tactile experience, whether it's getting together in person at the supper club versus a Zoom.
Yeah.
Or,
which is the Zoom is great because I can be places I could have never been.
It's a great luxury.
It's a luxury.
But if you can get together in person, shake a hand. If you can take that record in my hands, lift that needle up, put it down, needle down. If I can take those negatives and look through it, run them through, and use my hands to develop the film, there's a whole different experience, and that's what it's all about. None of us are really chasing some destination with all this anyway. You're not going to reach a point where you've done X number of podcasts, it's gotten X number of views, it's made X number of money, I've arrived. The end. Yeah. Made it to the destination. That ain't what it's about anyway. It's all about the journey anyway, right? So why wouldn't you have a more full experience along the way? That's what I think about film. That's what I think about some of that other stuff too. It really is true. And it's not, like you say, Zoom and digital photography. It's not like it doesn't have its place. It does. If you have Supper Club and you hire me, hey, Matt, can you come document it and shoot photos for me one night because I'm going to post them on social media? Well, I'm going to bring digital stuff because you don't want me taking that film all the way back to Tupelo and developing it and sending them to you 2 days later. But if we do a portrait shoot with you when you get, to become world famous with this stuff, we'll shoot it on film.
Yeah.
Because I got news for you. You're going to like it better, and everybody else is too when we're done with it.
Man, that's a great way to end.
Yeah.
I love it, brother. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
I don't know
you.
how long we've been, but